kind of unleashed upon the world by Intel and whatever company they were working on this with, I forget it exactly. But it's essentially a type of RAM stacking technology that allows you to have way higher density RAM in smaller amounts. So it's like, based on this technology, in about probably a year and a half to 2 years, we're going to have, like 16 gigabyte RAM sticks. They may be pretty expensive at first, but it's going to happen. And it's going to greatly decrease the amount of RAM, the cost of RAM, and also increase the amount of RAM you can have on your system. Let's go ahead and open this up. So I was willing to pay the little bit more premium price. It was way lower than the original price, for sure. Original price for this, I think, was $500. I paid $387, I think. So yeah, not the cheapest of cards, and this thing is just totally mutilating this box. It's too sharp. Not the cheapest of drives, but it's also 1 terabyte, which, about 2 months ago was $500 at least. I'm actually going to be getting another 1 terabyte drive too. I'm going to wait a little bit so the price will come down, but I'm going to get 2 of them, one for system and then one for extra storage. So this is the drive here. It's very small, very light compared to my OCZ3, Agility 3. It's like crazy light. I mean, you can't even tell from this, but it's just like, you can kind of hear it now. It's just like very light, very thin. This, they probably could have put another terabyte on this. It just sounds like there's all sorts of empty space in here. I'm not going to open it up to find out though, because if something does go wrong, I'm going to be able to not void the warranty. Oh, it doesn't seem to be any kind of void technology thing on here, opening detection. Warning, product can be damaged by ESD. Warranty, so there must be I guess there's a screw underneath this thing. So, yeah, here it is, I think I feel it. There's a screw right here underneath this, so that's why. Yeah, you can kind of make it out now. A little indentation. I'm not sure if it'll come up on the camera or not, but it's a little indentation there where the screws. I like to do that just to make sure I know where the screws are at. Yeah, so 1 gigabyte is 1 billion bytes, and maybe less than. So it's not going to be an actual terabyte, but it'll be pretty close. Like 980, 950 gigabytes. That's about what my 1 terabyte drive is. So yeah, this is going to be my system drive. So I'm going to be able to put this on here, and I think pretty much most of my Steam games that I have installed right now. Not all of them though, but most of them. I have a 500 gig drive for my main, 120 for my system drive, but the drive that I have everything on, I mapped my documents and everything to my what we call it secondary system drive, which is a 150 or a 500. I think it's not a Hitachi disk, sorry. I think it's a Barracuda, but it's SSD. So this should make things a lot faster. That should be interesting. So let's see what we get in here. It looks like some sort of driver disk. Yeah, solid state drive, installation, navigation. So there's software in here to install. This is the warranty statement, and this is the installation guide. So let's see, what's this showing here? Step 3. Oh, for data, yeah, you can actually migrate data from one drive to another with this. It has the ability to do so. So you just plug it in as like an external drive, and you put you put this in first into your laptop or your computer. Then you hook up your Samsung drive to your computer. Then it migrates the data, and you can just put that right in there. It's called Samsung Magician. I'm not going to be doing that because I'm doing that manually, because there's just too much stuff. That's going to be faster for me that way. Although a lot of the stuff I'm moving, I'll probably have to reinstall the software for anyway, so it won't make that much difference. But yeah. So that's everything in this box. This is very light. I mean, and it's also, it sounds pretty hollow. I mean, like, it's not really that well balanced. You can tell. Most of the RAM's on this side of the thing, and there's like lots of empty space. So I think this is like a test, or maybe not a prototype, but like a test drive or test version to see, you know, because they didn't really spread it out very well, like I was showing before. It's just very heavy on this side, not very heavy on the other side. But yeah, so it's this new VNAND technology that Intel's come up with is going to be revolutionary, I think, for RAM technology, which is good for SSDs. Should bring down the cost and also increase densities much more quickly than they would have otherwise been increased and dropped down. So let's go over to the video card. This is the Sapphire 290X. This is the Tri-X edition. The 290X you could not get for the longest time because all the Bitcoin miners went out and bought like every single frigging one of these when they first came out. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen to the 390X too, whenever it comes out. Hopefully they don't make the 390X water cooled by default, because that just means that there's more cost that I'm not going to be, to me, because I won't be using the stock cooling for that. Let's talk about what's in this. Let's see, we got the usual stuff for that. So talking about the graphics core next, which is, you know, it's a heck of a name for something. So fast memory, 4 gigabytes of 512-bit GDDR5 memory and 512-bit on memory speed, I guess you could say. Our architecture is, you know, it was pretty revolutionary when it came out. You got the Tri-X thing, stay cool. Well, yeah, I'll stay about 20 degrees cooler with this liquid cooling system. Overclocking, you can do more on that. Also has the ability for HDMI, DVI, and DisplayPort. I'm using the DisplayPort on my monitor. And that, I don't know what's going to get here. It could be as soon as tomorrow, or it could be as late as Monday when the monitor will get here. So we'll see what happens with that. So let's go ahead and open up the box. Or is there something on the front? No, there's no front panel kind of thing. Cool. 15% cooler, 40% quieter. HDMI, high speed. UEFI compatible. Not really sure what that means. And why wouldn't it be? I guess maybe you can get in the BIOS for the card now or something. Maybe there's a some sort of interface with that or something like that. I'll find out when I get in here. Look at the manual. And one thing I love about Sapphire as far as their graphics cards is that they always include a ton of stuff in the box, hardware-wise, besides the card. We'll see if they continue that. That's one reason why I think I'm doing this upside down. One reason why I don't like XFX. I think I'm saying that right. XFX. Very well. Stop. You must connect this graphics card to the computer's power supply. Like anyone that's building a computer would ever know to do that. You know, it's like such a foreign concept. It's like sticker on here. Now, do I be a troll and just put this off to the side, or I'm going to be the troll. We're going to put this over here for now. No card for you yet. We're going to look at what Sapphire has given us in the box. So it's going to be infinitely more cool. Seems kind of light. Let's see what we got here. Of course, there's no bridges that they need to give you now. So you got the usual case badge and driver discs. Yeah, these discs, I don't know why they give them to you anymore. And maybe to use as coasters, I guess. But you never want to install drivers off of a CD. You don't need. It's just they're always going to be out of date. Always. So what is this? Sapphire product registration. That's a registration card, okay. So what do we got here? We have a Molex to 6-pin connector. So if you don't have a 6-pin on your PSU, which I don't know, I guess you're living in the Stone Age if you don't, then you got that for that. You also got a double Molex to an 8. So again, if you're living in the Stone Age with your PSU, you got that. And I think this is an HDMI cable. So I may need to go get a DisplayPort cable. Yeah, this is HDMI. So I'm going to have 2 HDMI cables. It's actually nice. But yeah, I have to go out and get a DisplayPort cable now. Actually, it might come with, I'll see if it comes with my monitor first. So if it doesn't, that's going to be kind of ridiculous. I'll go check up online and see if it does come with one or not. So I'll be able to just get one if it doesn't. Actually, let's take all these bags, throw them out. I'm not going to bother unboxing the other card because it's going to be the exact same thing. There's not going to be anything different. And they're not going to include a DisplayPort cable in one box and an HDMI cable in the other, though. That'd be an interesting thing. Some people are lucky enough to get DisplayPorts, others will get DVIs. And some will even get VGA cables, and they can just cuss us out all night long, but we don't care because we're Sapphire. That'd actually be pretty hilarious. Way for Sapphire to troll. Alright, so now we can get to what you were really looking forward to that I snatched away from you earlier. Like the card. There actually wasn't really a large manual in there. It's interesting. So here's the card and the cooler and everything. It's actually a pretty long card. So you got your DisplayPort here, dual DVI and the HDMI port there. Actually, what we could do is this. So it's got a pretty good heat sink design, I would think. Covers all the stuff that it needs to. It does not cover the MOSFETs though, but it does cover, I think, the RAM over here, some of the capacitors. Actually, I don't even, oh, there's some stuff over heat pipes over here, but I'm not sure what it's actually connected on to. It's just like kind of on a plate above it. So it's actually going to be a improvement. The water cooling block will be an improvement over this, because we'll have direct contact with more of the board. And interesting, there's actually no backplate on this, is there? Although this is a lot lighter than that frigging GPU water cooling card. So yeah. I don't believe they have the memory on the back of this, although this might be it here, I'm not sure. Yeah, so pretty much standard for Sapphire on the board configurations. Got a black PCB. So now it's a more quality board, circuit board materials and stuff. Looks like a solid cooler, plus you got the 3 fans. So where could you go wrong at with this thing? I'm not going to take the plastic off of this. Go ahead and put it back in the bag here. And then we will move on to the motherboard, which is going to be the main focus after the case as far as the most awesome parts. So one of the reasons I wanted to go with this motherboard, besides the fact that it was Asus's only, well, at the time only X99 board, was the fact that it actually has it comes with a wireless adapter. It's actually pretty awesome. Let's see. I think we got this. No, this way. You know, I'm just going to leave it out of this bag because I don't trust it not to ship something off. This foam will keep it protected. So it's protective casing. It's like, if I got, it'd be nice to get the 295X because it comes in that frigging awesome plastic briefcase thing, or metal briefcase thing, but those will be a little more expensive, and I don't need something that's water cooled if I'm going to be water cooling them myself. That's just a waste of money. Which is why I'm hoping the 390Xs aren't water cooled stock. Because the cooling system they use costs extra, and that'd just be a cost I'd have to eat. Because I wouldn't be using it. Spends are cheaper as far as the cooling systems go. So, the motherboard. See if I can get without tearing the box up here. Oh. Okay. Oh, this box is heavy. Comes jam-packed with awesomeness though. So this is the Asus X99 Deluxe motherboard. There's also a Pro motherboard, but it's a little bit, has a little less features. So you can see the inside of this here. Can't really see that cell velocity from the thing up there. So, bunch of stuff on the inside flap here. Dual intelligent processors 5. So DIP5, I guess is what it is. With 5-way optimization, not sure what that even means. One-click whole system optimization, network audio, fan tuning included. So you got TPU. The TPU boosts the core CPU performance. EPU for energy proficiency. DigiPlus, which is the deals with power control. You got tons of fan headers and Turbo app apparently, which is I guess something like what's the name of it? I forget. There's a Asus like Asus application or something. So Wi-Fi Go. Now, one wonders when you'd be lugging around this board in this massive case where you just be able to plop it down with Wi-Fi. I mean, I don't even think this case is going to be used by frigging LAN partiers. It's so heavy and huge, and the kind of back carrying case for this thing would make it look like you're like a hunchback of Notre Dame or something. Because you'd just be like walking and hobbling because you'd break your back in half from carrying this thing on your back. Yeah, it's got crystal sound too, which is an interesting new design for these boards, which I think is going to be pretty nice because there's actually some kind of, it's like electromagnetic or static shielding to keep the audio quality a little more clear. And then Turbo LAN because I don't know, we need that stuff apparently. So let's see if I can get the box open. It's always fun trying to figure out how to open these things. Oh, from this side, okay. So once again, I'm going to totally just troll you. Stick the motherboard over there for the moment. And we're going to go for the holy hell. This is a lot of stuff. Let me just show you what's in here. Look at all this stuff. It's just like a... I mean, just look at this. It's like... No wonder this thing is so heavy. You got cables and bags and other things all over the place. I'm pretty sure this is a temperature sensor. Awesome. So let's see what we got in here. I got the I/O plate shield thing here. That's standard with all motherboards. This is the fan header board. So essentially this is like a board you can put in your case somewhere. It has a bunch of fan headers on it, so you can like route everything to one particular spot and like run this off of a controller or something. Or just as a more convenient place to hook up all your stuff to. You also have an M.2 card. And for those of you that have been living under a rock for the past couple of months and don't know, or a year or so, and don't know what M.2 is, it's essentially a new type of hard drive that's essentially like a flash drive almost, but it's extremely high density RAM. So it's like an SSD, but really high density, slightly lower cost. I think it's also faster, I believe, because it runs on PCIe slot. Well, it might be a mini PCIe or whatever those are called. Yes, this is a Hyper M.2 X4 card. I won't be using it, but some people probably will. Get a bunch of SATA cables. Not sure what this is. Oh, this is the Wi-Fi. That's right. This is actually magnetic, this Wi-Fi thing, which is kind of awesome. So you can like stick it on your case and it'll just sit there. I guess you can't really see it from over there. Take it over here. That's literally just sitting on there. It's got a magnet in the bottom. It's pretty cool. Again, I probably won't be using this because Wired owns Wi-Fi any day of the week. All you Wi-Fi geeks out there can flame all you want, but it's a matter of fact that while the gap is growing smaller because of AC and all that stuff, it's still wired is still many times faster, and will continue to be. And you're not going to get a 1 gigabyte or even a 10 gigabyte speed on wireless just yet. And in fact, you're more likely to see that speed on wired much sooner than wireless. Again, this is that temperature sensor. So plug this in, stick it where you want to. This is a something, I'm not really sure. Looks like it's some sort of mounting bracket for, I have no clue what, Q connectors. Asus will rule forever because of these things, always. These are awesome. You also have an SLI bridge, because NVIDIA has not figured out a way to do SLI on the actual board themselves. You still have to hook them up with cables. So yeah, NVIDIA may have some better cards than ATI, but they definitely are way behind on the multi-GPU setups. This is a, well, I don't know what this is. Looks like a, oh, and I bet this is for, because on the board you'll see later on, but I know what this is for now. And a bunch of screws in the bracket things, probably for this, whatever this thing was. Two connectors, and this is what the wireless thing is in. Alright, so we've got the, let me see. What? Maybe this is the warranty? Oh, this is actually like a feature guide. Wow, cool. Because there's so much stuff jam-packed into this, you just got to read about it. So, let's see. Oh, that's what's on the dual intelligent processor thing. That's what the TPU, EPU, DigiPlus, power control, Fan Expert 3, and Turbo App are all what that's essentially referring to. So, these 5 different things are going to be able to optimize the system more than they normally would. TPU stands for Turbo Processing Unit. Allows you to manually adjust CPU frequency, core ratio, DRAM frequency, and voltages. So essentially, I guess it's a kind of a more deep-level system into the CPU architecture than the UEFI BIOS system is. Or may have some sort of interconnecting bridges that make it a little more stable or something. GPU boost, CPU strat, energy processing unit. I'm not going to go through all that because, yeah. Then you have the manual. You got, let's see, you got lots. What the frick? Now here's a case badge for you. It's not quite as cool as the TUF logo, but it's still interesting. Let's see, what's this? An installation guide. One thing you'll need to take very good, very close to pay attention to with this is that you will have to plan where you're going to put your RAM sticks carefully, because there's certain configuration that will work much more better than others. Also, there's some other features in this. We'll use this when we get to the other parts, because there's some stuff in there to talk about. So you get the chipset, BIOS support, and everything else. CD for that. And then you get the warranty. I think it's warranty. Oh, this is the fan extension card installation guide. And the warranty is probably in this. So it's just like your normal motherboard manual. Just like tells you where all the stuff is at, what all it does, all the different settings and whatnot. Also talks about some compliance stuff and all the things you would expect from a manual. Very comprehensive and big one, apparently. Looks like. Yeah. Cool. Alright, so let's get everything back in here, and then we'll go over the motherboard. So much stuff. Let me see what this is. That'll be on here too. So there is a bracket thing. Here it is. So this is the M.2 bracket. It says racket in there. It's funny. So I guess what you do with this is it's used to either mount or reinforce the M.2 stick when you put it into your system. Yeah, so it's a 5-pin extension cable, optional. So that's what that is. That one thing I couldn't figure out what it was for. There's no way I'm going to put the stuff back in the way they had it, because there's just tons of stuff everywhere, so I'm just going to throw it in and we'll see what happens. How's the battery looking? Alright, so I'm going to stop recording for a minute. I'm going to plug in my camera here, and we're going to use it while I'm powering it up. To do this, though, you can only plug it into a wall socket. If you plug it into a computer, it's going to do all that stuff and won't let you use it while it's plugged in. If you plug it into a wall, then it'll work. So I'm just going to stop recording and we'll be right back. Alright, so now, are we recording? Yeah, so now you're under my direct control, because apparently with these, when you get the housings on here, you can't, if you can see it here, there's nowhere to plug it in. It's going to be right here on this side facing here. Is where you have to plug it in at, and there's no hole there for that. And this thing got freaking hot while I was in there. This thing is still kind of really hot. So I'm going to go and throw the rest of this stuff in. So we got two. There's this. Then switch it down for a second. So I can close the box up. And get to the... I'm actually powering this off of my iPhone wall connector. So you can do that. Make sure I touch metal with this, just because I don't want to fry the board. And this is where you fry something if you're going to fry something. That should be fine. The board box is not metal, so. And here we have it. Done. Or however that, that done. Thing like where they usually go with, like, they're showing off like a sunrise or something and some corny. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about on this board. First and foremost is it's a very sleek design. You can see it in black PCB with white trim, which is why I'm going opposite with my cooling loop in the case. See, the case is mostly white with some black bits there and here and there, and also some other color options and all that. But the cooling loop is going to be white, pastel white for the color, and then black fittings to match the board. There's a lot of black trim around the board, but also some white speckled here and there. It's going to really offset each other pretty well, I think. So there's a couple of things to go over with this right off the bat. Obviously, you got the 8 pins, 4 on one side, 4 on the other. It will support 64 gigabytes of RAM. Although I don't know why you'd ever need that. You also have another M.2 X4 here. So in theory, you could have one here. I think there's one over here somewhere. I think there's actually two 4-pin fan headers over here for the CPU fans. You got fan header over here. I think that's an SP to out. Let me see, fan headers. Okay, there's two fan headers right there. These two here. They're 4-pin headers, which is good because I'll need those. Actually, they're all 4-pin headers, aren't they? They can take 3. So again, that's nice for when you're using high-powered fans like I'm going to be. Got the LGA 2011-3 socket. Their tension clip systems, like the other LGAs, you got the 2 sides to take off. You gotta do one then the other. And then you got the new layout. So it's a lot more, it's not quite as angled, it's a lot more solid, square shaped. And you see all the kind of stuff in there. Pretty nice looking socket design. For a very powerful chipset. Also very heat inducing chipset too, probably. What's going on here? Okay, I guess I had it backwards. It goes this side first. Alright, there we go. Let's see. Over here you got the memo K button, so if you need to get your memory to work, if it doesn't work right away, you got this over here to push. You got a bunch of slots down here. So these two are the SATA 6G 1 and 2s. This is SATA 6G 3.4, SATA 6G 7.8, SATA 6G 9 and 10. And then you have over here, these are all, I think these two are, let's see, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So these are all the 6G SATA ports. Oh, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8. Two, 4, 6, 8. So 10 and, well, I'm not really sure. It says, I think that, I don't know, I'll have to look on the manual again. These over here, these are the SATA Express ports. Over here, these 2 far ones, and that's a new thing that I'm not familiar with, so I'll have to do some research on that. I got into the fan header here. You've got a, what is this? 1.4. I think this might be this is the 5-pin extension. I'm not sure what the 5-pin is for. That's where that 5-pin goes in. You got some jumpers here. Probably for the BIOS. And you got a bunch of switches here. I don't know if you can see them or not. There's just a ton of switches here. Alright, yeah, these you can see. And these are really something you have to be aware of. So this is for TPU 1, 2, so you can change the mode that it's in. Or rather, TPU, then 1 or 2. So I think this is for different BIOS settings. EPU, I think that either turns on or off. You have the boot device, 1 or 2, or something. Then you have this. This is a very interesting feature that Asus has on this. Asus, whatever. So what happens here is, so this is essentially saying one card. If you do this too, over here it's going to light up some LEDs around here that will tell you which 2 slots are the most efficient or the ones that you should use for a 2-card setup. Same thing with 3. It'll light up 3 slots. And that's where you can put your cards at for having the best, optimum kind of thing. I think it says WinBond. I'm not sure what that chip is right here in between these two. So TPM, not sure. USB headers here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then these are USB, also USB headers here. So I think these are USB 2 and these are USB 3 is what it is. Then you got the front panel stuff here, reset button and all that. This here is another fan header for, it says EXT fan, so extension fan, external fan, what have you. It's a 5-pin thing though. AAFP, not sure what that is. Speed F out. That's what this one is. Chassis. PCI 16. I'm not sure what this jumper is for. Then you got the power on and reset buttons. The clear CMOS button and the boot indicator. They took these off after the last time I saw this stuff was on the Maximus 2. I haven't seen it since, and they brought it back, which is nice. This stuff is really helpful when you're building your computer, because if something goes wrong, you just look at this thing and say, okay, so error code, look it up. If you have to reset, you just hit this button. You don't have to, you can like put it on a test bench or something and do it that way. You don't have to worry about a reset button. Also the clear CMOS button, that's awesome, because now you don't have to do that jumper BS like you had to on previous models. That really chaffed my hide. Then I have to get in the case, and like, you still have to get into the case. I guess it might even be harder now with this, because if you have a card here, which you won't need because you got 5 PCIe slots to work with. But if you have like a card here or here, it's going to be hard to get down to that. But unless you're doing a 3-way setup, you're probably going to be using this one, and this one, or maybe this, and this. So, or if you go with like a 4-card, I don't know how you would do that. This one, this one, this one. Now you couldn't do a 4-card setup, could you? But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff on here. This is all the audio stuff down here. Very high quality parts for the audio capacitors. And all the circuitry for it's actually underneath this kind of piece here, which is supposed to be like a shielding for it, according to what Asus has put out. It's not actually metal, it's plastic. It'd be better if it was metal, but you know, it'd also be conductive if it was metal. So it's actually like a plastic, but we'll see how it works out. Bunch of chips everywhere. Got the MOSFET stuff around it. I'm actually going to have to unbolt this to get to the MOSFETs to install the MOSFET water block, so that's going to be interesting. Then you have the rear I/O port here, just massive. So you can see that. Well, actually, let's just turn the box instead of turning the whole thing around. So as you can see here, we got a couple things. You got this here. They've taken out the active cooling fan that they used to have on some models, and now you got this extra heat sink here that just kind of vents off heat. And you can automatically see here a wall of USB 3.0 slots. There's actually, looks like 10 USB 3 slots, 2 USB 2 slots, dual NIC slots. This here, these 3 things here, that's for your wireless card. Then you have the optical out for audio, and then the 5-channel, I guess is what that is, for the audio. So I guess optical would be for 7-channel, and then the rest is for 5. The Pro board actually has, I think it's only one Ethernet port, and then the other one is actually replaced with a PS2. And, you know, people that say, well, people still use PS2 keyboards. Why? Seriously, why? Somebody has the answer to that. Put it in the comments and tell me why, because I have no clue why they still would. USB is much faster than PS2, and you can do all kinds of things with USB that you can't do with PS2, like custom flagging and stuff like that, at least to my knowledge. That might be incorrect, though. But it might make it easier and make things a little more interesting. It'd be interesting to know that if you could do like a Logitech G510 kind of lighting control through PS2. I don't think you could, but you might be able to. I don't know if it would handle the same amount of power that would take through there. So there may be some things I'm not aware of with that. But if somebody knows why people are still using PS2, just tell me below. Other than, you know, they have old dinosaur hardware. I don't think there's any legitimate excuse outside of that to be using PS2 these days. On this side, you got the MOSFET block. This goes right on top of the 8-pin connector here, which is interesting. So that's going to be like a little bit of a tight fit. Again, this is coming off for the EK water block. Still, if you're not going to be switching that out, that's kind of an interesting design thing there. You got your 24-pin here. So the 2 fan headers and something there. So let me go ahead. I'm just going to take this off here and put it on the table. I'm going to pull out the manual again. I'm going to take a look at what some of this stuff is. I should have left it out. Wasn't thinking properly. This should be interesting. Trying to rotate the motherboard around and have a look at it. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look at the back of it here. Pretty stable, not stable, pretty clean design. See the friggin' backplate on this monster. There's actually a chip on the back here. I'm not sure what that's for. Looks pretty clean though. Made in China, although pretty much everything in electronics is these days. So it'd be nice to see stuff made in Japan or something, or maybe even in America. So speed up out. Digital audio connector, 4 1-pin. Additional Sony Philips digital interface ports. So that's what that is. Front panel I/O connector. So you got the 6 gigabyte bit per second connectors. Connectors are set to AHCI mode by default. So if you intend to do a serial ATA RAID, you need to turn that off in the BIOS. Or turn it to a RAID setting. Also, though, I don't really know what Jerry's using. Barnacles, for those who only know his YouTube name. I think it was on the second kind of tech blog that Jerry did with Jay. They were trying to do like an external RAID or something, and it killed his computer because of driver issues or something. So, let's see, SATA Express connector, 1 SATA Express or 2 SATA. Okay, so for the SATA Express, you can either have 1 Express device or 2 SATA devices. So you can't have that. And also the SATA 6G, 7, 8, 9, 10 ports. So those 4 ports that are over here, these ones here, they're the black ones. They don't support Intel drivers, I guess. They're on the Marvel connectors. Marvel drivers. Damn it, where were we? Lost the page. Oh, we're further than that. Yeah, they don't support Intel Rapid Storage or RAID configurations. So let's go back a bit here. Alright, so got the DRAM slot, CPU, LG, socket, power connectors, memo K, M2.3 socket 3. What the hell? There's a third M.2 in here? Maybe it's maybe that's the type of socket it is. EPU switch 7, that's down there somewhere. Okay, yeah, it's got this huge friggin' long line that comes down to here. Connectors. So yeah, these two here, 15, are the USB 2 connectors, and you have USB 3 right there. 17. So AAFP, that's 24. That's for the front panel audio connector. Okay, I never use that because I just don't usually use the front jacks or anything because, you know, it's USB usually nowadays, not audio jacks. Power on button, reset button, Q code LEDs, clear CMOS, TMP connector. So what is this 5-pin for? So that's the chassis intrusion connector. 4 1-pin. That's what that 5-pin thing was over here. I think it's that white one. No, it's not that one. It's this here, I guess. The one with the jumper. The one right next to it, 2. So that's CPU, fan, CPU optional, extension, or chassis fan connector. So that's a 4 or 5-pin connector there. Let's see what else is in here. Digital audio connector. That's a speed up out. So that's pretty much all that stuff on there. Let's see if we got any other memory configurations. Okay, so looking at the board this way, so let me get you a shot of the. Man, this camera's freaking hot. It's like burning my fingers. So looking at it this way, the RAMs on the bottom are going to be the first ones I mentioned off the RAM. The DRAM slots on the top are the second. So this will be from bottom to top, but top to bottom on the image here. Bottom to top for you guys. A1, A2, B1, B2, D1, D2, D1, and C2, C1. So again, this one is A1, A2, B1, B2, then D2, D1, C2, C1. For RAM configurations, so let's see. So again, it's, you know, the standard kind of stuff. So up to 2, 4 to 8 gigabytes of unbuffered non-ECC DDR4 RAM. Trying to look up the the different configurations. Okay, here we go. So single-sided, double-sided DIMM support. So so you can insert one single slot into any slot, but they suggest that you install it into D1. So that's the third slot, or the second from the bottom that you're looking at here on the top bank of DIMMs. So this one here is D1. That's where they suggest you install one stick of RAM. If you have two modules, it says to install them in the dark gray slots or the black slots. As a one pair of a quad channel configure. So they're saying for that B1, which is this one here, and D1, which is again this one here, for 4 sticks of RAM, they say A1, B1, and C1 and D1. So A1, B1, C1, and D1. In other words, the gray slots. And then for 6 modules, A1, B1, B2, C1, D1, D2. So A1, B1, B2, C1, C2, or sorry, C1, D1, and D2. And then, of course, for all 8, you just put them all in all 8 slots. So, there's a note in here that Asus exclusively provides HyperDIMM support function. HyperDIMM support function to the subject physical characteristics of each individual CPU, load, XMP, and DOCP settings and BIOS for HyperDIMM support. And then again, it tells you to look at the QVL. I already know that my RAM is compatible. So we're talking about all the slots here. So slots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, those are all 16x 3.0/2.0 slots. Then you got the PCIe 2.0 4x slot there in the middle between them right here. All the rest of these are 3.0/2.0 16x, x16, whatever. So there's actually 2 different configurations here, depending on your CPU, how many lanes it has for the graphics cards. If your CPU has 40 lanes, then for a single VGA card, it suggests that you install either into slot 1 or 3. For dual VGA cards, slots 1 and 3 both. For 3 cards, it suggests an X16 in slots 1 and 3, and then an X8 in slot, the last slot, 5, or rather 4. And then for 3 cards, it suggests 1, 2, and 4, all 8. So that's an important thing here. You're not going to be able to maximize out a triple card, 3-way SLI or 3-way Crossfire, because they're going to be wanting, it's going to be actually 16 cards, but they'll be throttled down to X8 because there's not enough lanes to support 3 cards on this board or any board for that matter, any CPU. For a 28 lane CPU, it's even more restrictive. For one single X16 card, suggests to do the first one. For a dual, you have a 16 on one and an 8 on the third one. And then for triple, you have 1, 2, and 4. Sorry, it was 4, not 3. Slot 4. And then 1, 2, and 4 are all 8. So if you have a CPU that only has 28 lane support for graphics cards, you're going to be severely limited in terms of what you do with your configurations. So there's some IRQL assignment for this board. This is the first time I've seen this before. This is for a 28 lane CPU. So I'll just let you see this for a second because it's a little bit interesting. See, onboard buttons and switches, talks about that stuff. I'm just kind of going over and trying to figure out what all this stuff is for. So, TPU, okay, yeah, so, in the initial position, which is all the way on this one TPU switch over here. So, I'll flip this around. So, the TPU switch, get my hand out of the way. This one has a friggin' wide angle of view on it. So TPU, that's this switch here. All the way over it's disabled. This enables CPU ratio boost, and then this allows CPU BLCK and ratio boost. So let's see. So when you have it set to the first setting for ratio boost, the system will automatically adjust the CPU ratio for enhanced performance. And when you have it enabled all the way over, the system automatically adjusts the block rate as well as the ratio as well. So I think this is just like an actual onboard switch based improvement on your CPU speed without having to do anything in the BIOS. So that's actually pretty nice, though I'll probably leave it on disabled because I'll do it myself. But for those that are kind of shy about overclocking or worried about it, set it on 1 or 2 and you're good to go. Let's see what the next one is. So EPU switch. So it's either enabled or disabled. So either disabled or enabled. And let's see. Once enabled, a switch. Let's see now. The EPU LED or OLED 2, probably somewhere in there somewhere, lights up when it's on, and under Windows, EPU will actually be activated on the next boot up. And let's see, you may change the EPU settings in the software application or BIOS setup program. So it says the EPU will dynamically detect or unlock detect PC loadings and intelligently moderate the power consumption. So it kind of acts as a sort of like the speed, what's it called? Speed something setting in the BIOS for Intel. Speed step, except it works with voltage on the power consumption, which is interesting. So clear CMOS. What's this other one here? That's for that. What about the boot device switch? I already talked about what this switch is for here. EZXMP switch. So again, it's another thing where it just allows you to flick the switch to overclock the DIMMs. Again, I'll probably leave it off. That's the okay, that's for the boot. That's the boot device LED right there is what it's saying. I don't even know what it's for though, so I'll leave that on disabled too, or on off too. I'm going to be using 2 cards, so I'll put it on 2 for now. Jumpers. So CPU overvoltage jumper, 3-pin CPU OV, So that's this thing here next to the 5-pin connector. Zoom in out here, just kind of give you a better. So that's see the jumper right there. That's what we're talking about here. So voltage jumper allows you to set higher CPU voltage for a flexible overclocking system, depending on the type of CPU installed. To gain more CPU voltage setting, insert the jumper to pins 2 and 3, and deep. So again, it's like an instant voltage enhancement setting. So this board is like really geared as well towards the noob overclockers that, or those that are kind of skittish about overclocking. So onboard LEDs. So post state LEDs. So you got the DRAM LED up here on the top somewhere at the corner. I think it's the memo K. VGA LED, the CPU LED, and the boot device LED. So if there's an error found with any of those components, the LED will stay lit up, tell you that there's an issue at that place. So that's actually pretty cool. Before, I remember they only had there was only the RAM LED before for memo K that would tell you that. But now if there's a problem with any of the other major components, they'll say, well, this is where your problem is, so try and figure it out. So now you don't have to go through and like unplug everything one thing at a time to try and figure out what's causing the issue. It'll tell you on the devices that are most likely to cause your system to crash on boot or to hang or something if there's an issue. So TPU LED lights up when the TPU switch is enabled. EPU LED, same thing, when it's enabled. Lights up when you enable the EasyXMP. So XLI crossfire LEDs light up when the switch is enabled. Q code LEDs. And I managed to turn you off because I pushed on that button by accident. So Q code LEDs tells you if there's any errors, it gives you an error code. And it gives you a nice list here. So 00 not used, microcode cache enabled. So it just kind of goes through and tells you what all this stuff is, all these things are. So you can kind of see what it's loading up with and other things. Reserved for future AMI error codes. Internal connectors. Yeah, X9 Deluxe analog front panel connector. That's the AAPF, this one here. Talked about some of that stuff. USB 3.0 connectors. 21 pin USB 3, so that's these here. And you got the two 10 1-pin USB 2 as well. Yeah, don't try to connect your FireWire up with a friggin' USB connector. To the USB connector, rather. They used to give you this in the with the board, now they don't, I guess. Or was it with the case? I'm not sure. I remember I used to get one of these, I got a couple of them. So, let's see, you have to install drivers to make sure you can use it all under Windows 7, and probably the same with 8 and 10, obviously. These ports support, are natively supported with Windows 8 though, and 8.1. So there's no drivers for that, which I have Windows 8, so that's what I'll be using for the moment. What else do we have? CPU, optional fans, all the fan headers and everything you can see is everywhere. Power connectors, so you got 24 and 8 pin. So there's 5 thermal sources on this board, I guess, that you can just kind of stick in a thing in here, a temperature sensor or something. Or maybe not, I don't know. It says EXT fan